Good evening, everyone. Welcome to an episode of Rider Reflections. I'm coming to you live from New Zealand. I have arrived in my hotel for the evening. Unfortunately, I was only able to make it into Auckland tonight. The plan was to fly into Auckland, hire a rental car, and then get all the way to my destination, which is Dustalone Ranch, where I'll be for the next week doing clinics and whatnot. Unfortunately, I didn't get to do that. My plane was a little bit delayed, so I couldn't get the rental car, etc. And I've checked into a hotel here in Auckland, and I was just in the dining room, and I'm on my own, of course, so I'm sort of sitting there eating and what have you, and I happened to overhear a conversation of the diners right next to me. Now, just to clarify, I was not eavesdropping on this conversation. The way they've got the dining room set up is they were literally less than a foot from me. They've got the tables quite close together. And the conversation, there's obviously some kind of conference here for the car industry or something like that. There's something happening. There's a big conference. There's a lot of people meeting here, and they're sort of introducing themselves and talking about what they do and things like that. And what the people were talking about was the fact that they were attending this conference, and obviously some of them had different obligations with their employers and different agreements with their employers, where some of them were sort of saying, I like coming to conferences, but I still need to pay the bills. And some of them were like, I like coming to conferences, but, I don't really like paying for it or whatever. Or, did your boss pay for this, etc., etc. And it got me to thinking about investing in yourself and investing in whatever it is that you're doing, and having a mindset that is a worker bee mindset. So this is probably a little bit deflective from the horsemanship stuff or the horse stuff, but I'm going to bring it back there. If you just stick with me, I am going to bring it back to the horse stuff and how it reflects in your horses. But so what it got me to thinking was, when I was in real estate, and I was in real estate for nearly 15 years, I would always attend a conference every year. I would attend a big real estate conference down in Sydney, and I was on the Gold Coast. And it was a big 3-day conference, maybe 4-day conference. It cost about $2,000 per ticket. Cost about $200, maybe $180 per night to stay in a budget hotel room. Cost me the flights from the Gold Coast into Sydney and the transfers from the airport. So what's that? $2,800. Probably it used to cost me nearly $3,000, just over $3,000 to attend this conference every single year. It was not a requirement of my employer, and I was actually attending a real estate conference geared towards salespeople, not geared towards property managers, which is what I was at the time. And my employer agreed to let me go, so he gave me the time off without taking it off my holidays or sick days or anything like that. He said, I'll give you the days, you have to pay for all the tickets and things like that. And I was happy to do that, because my mental attitude at the time was, I'm learning this stuff. I'm going to have that knowledge for the rest of my life. I'm going to have that experience. I'm going to have that knowledge. I'm going to absorb those teachings for the rest of my life. Yes, for this period of time, whilst I'm employed by this employer, that knowledge is benefiting his business. And some would argue, well, your employer should pay for it because it's benefiting his business. But I always looked at it as an investment into myself, and always looked at it as an investment into my future potential, my future experience, what I could put on my resume. And really, I wasn't even thinking about my resume. I was with that business for over 10 years. And it was just about knowledge for me. It was just about learning more about the industry that I was in, and I really didn't think about it. And so these guys tonight reminded me of that. And certainly over the years, I've heard similar things. I run a full-time business. My partner Phil runs a full-time business. And so we've had staff at various times. And you know, every now and then, or often, I'm sorry to say, in this day and age, you come across staff that say, oh, well, if you want me to go for a conference, I want you to pay me to go, or I want you to pay for everything for me to go, and I want you to pay for my hours and all that sort of stuff. And I just think, you know, this is an investment in your future. And I think that attitude, if you're sitting there listening to me and going, oh, no way, you know, I wouldn't attend a conference in retail because it's going to benefit my employer. What I'm going to say is that is reflected in your horsemanship. That's reflected in how you conduct yourself with your horse, how you teach your horse, what you choose to spend money on with your horse, what you choose to invest in. To my mind, it's the same kind of thing as saying, well, I've got this horse now, but I better not pay for any instruction or clinics or shows, because if I sell the horse, then that's a waste of money, which we all know is not true. And when you look at it in that context, you sort of go, yeah, well, that's dumb. Sure, I'm putting the education into the horse, but the horse, you know, I'm getting the education myself, and I can apply that onto other horses. So that is the same for anything that you attend, any conferences, anything like that. I believe if anything improves you as a human, then it's reflected in your horsemanship. So that's where I wanted to, I did say bear with me. So those of you that have stuck with me, thank you so much, because we've arrived. We've got back to that place. Anything that improves you as a human being, or improves your education, or improves your knowledge, or makes you look at things in a different way, or anything like that, opens something over here, it is absolutely reflected in your horsemanship. So next time you're thinking, oh, I'm at a 2-day hairdressing conference and I wish I was, and I wish I was riding my horse, think about going, well, you know, maybe directly, indirectly, this is actually going to help me with my horse. It's, you know, maybe I'm going to learn about interacting with clients, and I will apply those same principles to my horse without even thinking about it. It's not like you have to sit at a conference and think, how does this apply to my horsemanship? If you become better over a 2-day conference, then that better person is going to be conducting themselves with their horse. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that those of you that stuck with me, I hope it was worth it. And I look forward to kicking off my clinics here in New Zealand on Saturday. So it's Thursday night here at the moment, and Friday I will drive down to Dustalone Ranch, and I really look forward to seeing everyone there again. And I look forward to hearing from you all over the coming days. Thanks for watching this Rider Reflection. I hope you all have a great evening.